We have same-sex married couples and trans individuals and youth who are struggling.
Explicit guidance to not enroll transgender students.
That's not the Jesus I know, that I love.
Denver 7 uncovers a letter from Denver Catholic leaders outlining how schools should handle LGBTQ issues among students, their families, and staff.
We're definitely farther behind on turnout this election than we were in 2018.
Colorado voters taking their time returning the midterm ballots, and there could be a reason behind that.
They need to understand that the consequences are going to be we will have a delay in results.
Good evening, and thank you for watching Denver 7 News at 6. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Tonight, there is growing controversy over newly obtained policies from the Denver Catholic Archdiocese regarding LGBTQ students, families at Catholic schools.
Our partners at the Denver Post shared the document titled Guidance for Issues Concerning the Human Person and Sexual Identity.
Denver 7's Rob Harris breaks down the guidance and spoke with Catholics who are objecting to it.
This guidance from the Archdiocese of Denver contains 17 pages worth of policies on the matter. And it says the quote, "The spread of gender ideology presents a danger to the faith of Christians." But the Catholic I talked to today begs to differ.
Let's come together around people who are suffering in whatever way that is and love them into wholeness. That's my hope, anyway.
Bishop Kay Madden leads the Church of the Beloved in North Glen, which calls itself an ecumenical Catholic church.
It means more inclusive Catholicism. We don't have any restrictions about who may receive communion. All are welcome, not just some flowery statement, but truly all are welcome.
It's no surprise then, Bishop Madden says she was very sad to read this guidance aimed at LGBT students and families at Catholic schools.
To not be received and welcomed in the church, that's not the Jesus I know, that I love. He addressed fidelity and love and reached out to all the people who are on the margins and brought them in and told people not to be rigid, not to judge.
The Archdiocese guidance says that a Catholic school cannot affirm a student's identity as transgender, and that enrollment of a student who has transitioned would not be appropriate. It also says that enrollment of a child raised by a same-sex couple creates difficult issues, and that if a student is enrolled, the two parents would not be identified as two mothers or two fathers, and their involvement in the school would be limited. The document does state that LGBT students and families must be treated with charity, and that bullying towards the students should not be tolerated. But Bishop Madden says she wants to see a much broader sense of love and community.
Inclusivity is important, and we are all beloved of God. And Jesus, again, never, ever judged and ostracized anybody. So let's keep the doors open, let's keep welcoming.
For Denver 7,
let's keep loving.
I'm Rob Harris.
Denver 7 reached out to the Archdiocese of Denver about this guidance, and in a statement, a spokesperson said, in part, "We don't expect everyone to ascribe to a Catholic worldview, but we strongly reject attempts to paint our position as bigoted or unloving." And they added that, quote, "It is precisely because of our love and reverence for the nature of the human person that we cannot stay quiet on this matter."
And going deeper here tonight, the letter from the Archdiocese also outlines other things that should be banned at Catholic schools. Those include any LGBTQ clubs like Gay Straight Alliance. Also, same-sex couples cannot attend events like dances together as couples. And even if two same-sex students want to go to an event as friends, well, faculty members are instructed make the students buy individual tickets. If staff members decide to transition or begin a same-sex relationship, the Archdiocese said schools should consider firing them based on grounds that they are not upholding Catholic moral teachings.
And let's give you a different perspective now. There is one church in Denver that is working to create a more welcoming space for LGBTQ members and their families. Last year, we highlighted the work being done at Denver Community Church in Denver. Beginning in 2017, the church started hosting LGBTQ learning groups, allowing people to share their experiences of being queer and religious.
We learned by listening that we weren't a healing presence with and for the LGBTQ community. We were actually a wounding presence. We have done wrong. And we need to recognize that, we need to confess that, and we need to make a move toward opening our doors more widely, recognizing that God has long embraced this community before we did.
Denver Community Church is always welcoming in new members, and you can stop by any Sunday to join in on a sermon.
LGBTQ youth are 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers because of how they're treated in society. This is according to the nonprofit, the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project also offers a 24/7 hotline for LGBTQ youth to call, be connected to trained counselors. That number right there on your screen, 866-488-7386.
All right, we are almost 24 hours out from polls closing in the midterm elections.
1.3 million voters in Colorado have already turned in their ballots. It's about 35% of active voters in our state.
Denver 7 political reporter Megan Lopez spoke to county clerks about what could be behind the slow returns.
Here at the Boulder County Clerk's office, along with processing ballots and gearing up for Election Day,
what we're going to do is go through the ballot processing center.
A few final tours, a few final chances to explain to the public how their ballots are processed. This year, this close to the election, normally voter turnout is higher.
We have about 90,000 returns. In this point in 2018, we had about 130,000.
But Boulder is used to late ballot returns like this. Weld County, on the other hand, is not.
I just hit 30%, which by this time in 2018, I was already at about 45 to almost 47%.
As of Monday, returns among unaffiliated voters in the state were roughly the same as 2018, but there are 37% more this midterm than the last time around. Meanwhile, Democrats are down on ballot returns by more than 120,000, while Republicans are down by nearly 167,000 ballots. County clerks Molly Fitzpatrick and Collie Coppice says there's a couple of reasons for late returns.
I do know that this is a longer ballot.
Another factor may be a push by some Republicans to encourage voters to turn in their ballots on Election Day, like this email from Eagle County Republicans. The state GOP is not encouraging this, and Eagle County didn't respond to our questions about why they're pushing for late returns. But on a national level, there has been talk that the later the ballot is returned, the less time for potential tampering.
In my opinion, just fear-mongering. And it's just adding to people potentially not actually voting.
Both Coppice and Fitzpatrick say early or late, ballots are processed in the same way with the same security.
The only impact of waiting until the last minute to turn in that ballot is that we're going to be processing for several days.
Which means we may not know the winner of close races for days. Another rumor clerks are hearing.
If people mismark their ballots, they will ensure that their ballot is then hand counted.
There is a process to review ballots where the voter's intention isn't clear by a bipartisan group of judges, but
the adjudication judges are only looking at that particular contest.
The rest of the ballot will be processed in a machine as normal. The only risk with purposely mismarking your ballot is that parts of it may not count if judges can't understand your intentions. In the end, both clerks are urging voters to return their ballots as soon as possible so they can get them processed more quickly. Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
And digging deeper tonight with false controversies over election fraud and threats against election workers, the Justice Department is now getting involved in more than 60 counties across the U.S. to ensure they are in compliance with federal voting laws. And that's up from about 40 counties the DOJ sent workers to for the 2020 presidential election. As of right now, there's not one Colorado county on the list.
And obviously not a lot of time here to fill out your ballot left, but if you need help still filling your ballot out, or if you want to learn more about the questions being asked on it, visit our full election guide on Denver7.com. You can also watch our in-depth election stories on the free Denver 7 Plus app.
A 14-year-old and a 12-year-old have been arrested by Lakewood police for allegedly starting an apartment fire that killed a mother and her young daughter. Both boys were placed on a no-bond hold by a judge. 31-year-old Kathleen Payton and 10-year-old Jasmine Payton Aguayo were killed in that Halloween fire at the apartment complex off 9th and Sheridan. 10 other people were injured. In today's court hearing, 2 people who live in that complex said they had to jump out of their apartment window to escape the flames. Now, both boys are facing first-degree murder and first-degree arson charges, and they will be back in front of a judge later on this week.
A Fort Lupton police officer and a Platteville police sergeant now facing criminal charges after a train crashed into a police cruiser that was parked on the tracks with a woman handcuffed in the back seat. 22-year-old Yoreni Rios Gonzalez was seriously injured in that crash. The Weld County DA says Fort Lupton police officer Jordan Stanky is charged with criminal attempt to commit manslaughter, also with second-degree assault and reckless endangerment. The Platteville police sergeant Pablo Vasquez is charged with 5 counts of reckless endangerment, careless driving, and parking where prohibited. Neither officer tonight is in custody.
And the victim in that crash, Areni Rios Gonzalez, is facing one felony menacing charge for allegedly pointing a gun at someone, which is why police had detained her in the first place. And I spoke with her lawyer last week, who said they are planning to move forward with a civil lawsuit.
The bottom line is, for the last 11 months, I have not been able to treat kids that desperately need orthodontic treatment to prevent severe permanent damage to their front teeth.
Colorado kids being denied critical dental care.
Contact Denver 7 is digging deeper into why the state stopped covering the necessary treatments.
There just needs to be a simple change to make things as they used to be.
Warm and dry for the next 2 days, then I'll let you know if this storm is going to bring Denver any snow.
Happy to be back home.
Super surreal, super excited. Couldn't be happier.
And the Broncos get back to work after the bye week and welcome their newest team members to Colorado.
I didn't think that I'd be a Denver Bronco